I couldn't believe it when I disagreed with one of her last columns about Caitlyn Clark. But hey, there are firsts for everything. But before we get to Caitlyn Clark, and I don't think you're necessarily the way you phrase it in your column, I don't know that you're necessarily wrong. I do want to get your thoughts on the passing of Frank Carroll, because I know you cover figure skating better than anybody on earth. And this is a major blow to USA figure skating. So real quick on that before we get to Caitlyn Clark.
Sure, Adam. Well, great to be on with you. Always love being on your show. Absolutely great conversation. And every now and then we make news, as we recall from many years ago, which got ridiculous, but that's okay. We'll keep people in suspense. All's well, 15 years, 20 years later, whatever. But Frank Carroll was wonderful. Died of cancer, about a year and a half long battle, 85 years old, almost 86. Michelle Kwan's coach, Timothy Gable's coach, Linda Fradiani, Evan Lysacek. He won the Olympic gold medal in 2010 in Vancouver. So Frank got the gold there, but mostly, known for Michelle and so many others. Witty, fun, great sense of humor. You'd see him and there'd be 20 journalists in the heyday of the sport around Tanya Nancy and afterwards, there would be 20 journalists gathered around. We'd be enjoying his stories, laughing. One comes to mind. It was the 1998 Olympic year, huge, crucial. He's coaching Michelle Kwan, who won the silver. Tara Lipinski won the gold. That was a disappointment for Michelle. But leading into that year, he was talking about trying to help Michelle, who at that time is she's 17 years old. So, we're just fun conversation. What are you doing to help Michelle? And he goes, well, I'm thinking about a lobotomy. And with that, the reporter, might have been me, said, for you or for her? And he said, both of us, I want to go in on a group rate. And, we laughed. Of course, he's joking, moves on. Just lovely, wonderful coach, great legend for decades, helping young people get better on the ice, and just one of the loveliest, classiest people you could ever want to know. So may he rest in peace, Frank Carroll. But what a life he lived.
No question about it. One of the giants of figure skating. All right, now to our disagreement. And again, I think from the angle your column takes, I certainly understand the point. Leaving Caitlyn Clark off Olympic team, USA basketball airballs on huge opportunity, because you're talking about the fact that they have clamored for years about a lack of coverage. And this would have been an opportunity to, guarantee coverage because of the amount of attention placed on Caitlyn Clark. But my only counter to that is she really one of the 12 best, or more, accurately, one of the 6 best guards or 7 best guards available to Team USA? Because she probably wasn't going to play even if she made the team.
Well, play a little bit because they win most games by 30, 40, 50 points.
Right.
So everyone would get in. Let me throw some WNBA statistics at you, Adam Gold. This will be a first for you and me.
Yeah, okay, it's fine.
Just checked. WNBA assists. You know who's 4th in the entire league in assists in the WNBA in her first month?
Right.
Number 22 for the Indiana Fever. Diana Taurasi, I don't even see her name on the list. I got to keep going down.
Right.
Caitlyn, by the way, Caitlyn Clark is also ahead on assists of Jewel Lloyd, who's made the team, Jackie Young, Sabrina Ionescu, and Kelsey Plum. She's ahead of all of them on the list of assists, which you could say is a very, very important stat for a point guard. She is number 2 in the league in three-pointers made. Threes are huge in international basketball, as you know. She's ahead of Diana Taurasi on that. Diana's getting that going-away gift of another Olympics. Again, one of the greats of all time, but 42 years old. Where's the future there? And, of course, Diana, from the college ranks, was put on the team, as was Rebecca Lobo, as was Christian Laettner, as, of course, your listeners will remember. This is an homage to college, is what the USA basketball often does. Points per game. Caitlyn is ahead of Taurasi. She's on the list. And this is, by the way, getting blitzed. And statistically, not from me, not from you, but statistics in the WNBA, the person who's getting the hardest, strongest defense in the entire league, not any of those other Olympians I just mentioned, Caitlyn Clark, 22, and I think there's this sense out there, Adam, that she's not played well.
No, she's played very well.
She's played great, but if you're asking about merit, I just gave you stats. She's obviously more turnovers, but as we know, Indiana, those players are just getting used to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so on merit, on the stats, how can you argue with what I just told you?
Right. I mean, I think stats can. What is the phrase? Lies, damn lies, and statistics. I think she's played very well, and I run the risk of arguing against Caitlyn Clark. I'm more arguing that this is a longer process than just this year, than just the beginning of this season. The Christian Laettner example, like that was the first year that they went to professionals for the men's team. And they had no choice. It was mandated that they would take one college player, but they haven't done that since. They haven't put on an Olympic roster. They haven't put a college player on the Olympic roster since.
Sure, they have. Brianna Stewart. Yeah.
No, I was just talking about the men's side. But
you
yes,
didn't use that adjective "men's," now did you?
You're right. But I was talking about the men.
No, but that's at the heart of this very issue. Are men's and women's basketball equal? Are they getting the same money?
No, they're not. They're not. They're not. No.
So does women's basketball need the leg up? I just gave you the merit, right? I just gave you the stats that, since it's subjective, right? You can pick 12. You can pick. Right. I just gave you the stats to tell you she's playing better in some statistical categories, statistics, apples, oranges, apples, whatever, than Taurasi. That is an argument that I just made for you. Now let's take it to the way bigger issue of growing the game, which is desperately needed by U.S. women's basketball. And how do I know this? Because I've been, as you know, to 10 Summer Olympic Games. I have been often one of the very few journalists watching in the press tribune, just tumbleweeds in the press tribune. Take my word for it. Yep. I was there for at least, I've counted 5 gold medal games, U.S. gold medal. This is the greatest team in the world, as you know, Adam, men's or women's, any sport. The most dominant, they last lost in 1992.
7 in a row.
I cannot tell you the number of male sports writer friends of mine who, when I said I'm heading over to cover the gold medal game of the women, they've smirked, they've laughed. I said, you want to come? Oh, no, never. Caitlyn Clark, and this is the absolute swing and a miss, whiff of all times, why I call it the worst decision I've ever seen by a U.S. Olympic NGB team or player selection. Obviously, terrible things have happened in NGBs, not that. But is that you put Caitlyn Clark on that team, and every one of those misogynistic, sexist men, whoever they are out there, has to come running to cover the team. And what happens when you cover Caitlyn Clark? You're writing about Brianna Stewart. You're writing about Alyssa Thomas. You are now focusing on Sabrina Ionescu and Jewel Lloyd. And they're getting the most attention they've ever gotten in their careers because of the spotlight that's being shown. All that is now gone. How is that good?
Christine Brennan of USA Today is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. How is it? I understand your point, and I want to. I'm kind of threading a needle here because I do get the point of wanting more coverage. Right? It's clear that they didn't, as an organization, they didn't care about that, or maybe there was something else at work. But again, I just go back because I was listening to Rebecca Lobo on television talk about that this morning, that this is a process that goes a lot longer. And I said the same thing on Twitter over the weekend. Who comes off of that team? First of all, Chelsea Gray, who was not only was the best point guard in the WNBA last year, is on the team, has not played this year. My guess is that if Chelsea Gray can't answer the bell, that Caitlyn Clark would probably be the selection in her place, which would be good to get her on the team that way. But I just don't know who comes off that team otherwise.
Well, Diana Taurasi. I mean, Taurasi is one of the greats of all time. Don't get me wrong.
And she's still great.
She's still great, but I just gave you the stats.
Right, but that doesn't mean she's necessarily she's not a better player.
Oh no, but it's subjective, right? So there's a million ways you can look at it, but you cannot dismiss Caitlyn Clark's statistical advantage over Diana Taurasi. Why are we going, if again, since the women are not making exactly the same salary as the NBA players,
right.
LOL, since the decimal points are 2 or 3 different places for the TV contract for the women versus the men, and we know what Caitlyn Clark is bringing, attendance, right. Why on earth, just throwing it out there, since you asked who, right?
Right.
Are we sending Diana Taurasi for her going away present? That's what it is. Let's just be honest. That's what it is, Adam.
You don't think she's going to? You don't think she's going to be a featured player?
Oh, I think she will be. What am I saying is that you don't have. You asked me a question. I am answering your question. I have given you now merit. Again, Diana's not getting the coverage that Caitlyn is. Being blitzed. Right. So arguably, take away the blitzes. And Caitlyn's even better, and her stats are already better than Diana, since you've asked. So that's what I would do. And people would be mad, but the vast majority of fans would love it, because what I think we're seeing is a very insular sport, and I'm going to continue to report this, that just doesn't know what to do with the greatest thing that's ever happened in women's sports. And it's just stunning and interesting, and as a journalist, I am on it. And I'll give you this example. I just tweeted this out a little bit ago. ABC, who I work for, I was on Good Morning America. Producer told me this last night. Cheryl Reeves, the head coach of the Olympic team, May 3rd, she's also the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. May 3rd, 2024, the WNBA puts out a tweet talking about Indiana against Dallas, first preseason matchup of the year. They don't even mention Caitlyn Clark, but her picture is there with Aaliyah Boston and a couple other players. So that's the promotion, obviously. Cheryl Reeve, Minnesota was playing Chicago that night, and for astute WNBA watchers, a fan in the stands live tweeted it, video, because it wasn't being shown on TV.
Right.
And that's the reason Cheryl Reeve is tweeting about, hey, Lynx fans, you can go to the app, whatever. The head coach of the Olympic team, the one who's supposed to be making these decisions with, fairly, honestly, blindly, right, helping with the committee, has this hashtag, the W, meaning the WNBA. The W is more than one player. What on earth was the head coach of the Olympic team doing? And doesn't that reveal to you, it's obviously a shot, something, a reference to Caitlyn.
No question about it. So
is that good? Are you happy with that as your Olympic coach doing that? Do you think she maybe didn't pick her for that reason?
It's very possible. Like, one of the things that I think we all have to acknowledge is that it's possible that the coach and maybe some of the players, because I don't know if they have any input at all into the roster, decided that they didn't want her there. It's clear, but based on the amount of attention that Caitlyn Clark has received, defensive and physical attention, that there is some animosity among players. I talked about this last week, that there is an element of jealousy at work here, that because Angel Reese said the quiet part out loud when she says she's not the only reason that people come to watch. People come to watch me too. And I agree with Angel Reese.
Oh my goodness. Yes, but it is minuscule compared to the attendance in DC.
It's certainly not even, right? It's not even. I'm not
right. But here, Adam, I love you, but you do realize the magnitude of the missed opportunity now. Right?
No, I understand your point. But I just think that they don't care.
Yes, well, that is a news story, is it not? To grow your game, and they don't care. And now you are right in my wheelhouse of why I'm continuing to report the story. If you are correct, that is one heck of a news story that's going to go all the way through Paris, because they're going to be asked about Caitlyn Clark all the time. Right. So the lack of leadership here. I broke the story at midnight on Friday. So we are talking, 48, 60 hours
I can't add.
No, I just did. I have slept for a few of those hours. 60 hours ago, USA Basketball, silence. U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, silence. I've been emailing, texting, asking. And yet Caitlyn Clark, who, of course, is going to be the winner in all of this, the sympathy, and you saw her response. everyone listening to you right now who has a daughter, a son, by the way, Caitlyn's always talking about the boys that she's signing the 22 jerseys and the autographs. Everyone listening, probably including you, son, daughter, niece, nephew, granddaughter, grandson, girl next door neighbor, boy next door neighbor, would love to meet Caitlyn Clark. Mm-hmm. You put her on the Olympic team. Can you imagine how many USA 22 jerseys would have been sold that could have gone into youth sports programs around the country that will now not be sold? Can you imagine the girls in Africa and Europe who would have tuned in because of this Caitlyn Clark kid? I had a British writer come to me at the Masters and say, tell me all about her. I can't wait to cover her at the Olympics. Gone. New Zealand radio is coming up in an hour and a half here for me. New Zealand. I said, you really? He goes, we are furious. And my mum, he said, is furious. New Zealand. You can't look at this through the male eyes. And I know you're a good guy. You cannot. Women's sports need this desperately. Why does the NHL stop to go play in the Winter Olympics?
Money.
The platform.
Yeah.
And because you can make the argument merit-wise, she's been great. And because you can make the argument college-wise, Brianna Stewart 8 years ago, among the others that we talked about, what on earth is going on?
That's why you're the best, Christine Brennan. No, seriously. I mean, I think there are good arguments to be made in many different ways. Your argument based on attention can't be beat. So I understand that. We have to go,
yeah.
but the only
let's keep it going. There'll be more on this. Trust me.
No question about it. No question about it. Nobody's complaining that LeBron's on the men's team.
How much? I think. Let's look at the salaries again. Right, but that tells you, right? There must be something. There's the undercurrent, and we saw it at the Final Four with Diana Taurasi and with Brianna Stewart. I wrote about it. Folks can see it. There's no paywall. USA Today. You can read my April column about all that, the frostiness, the chilliness. Mm-hmm. And I've been on this since February. I'm staying on it. I could tell then something was up. That's one of the reasons I was able to break it, because a source came through for me looking at the list at midnight, Friday to Saturday. But again, just stunning for a player that is nothing but magic, the high wire act at the circus, who is just, and also the greatest role model I finally met her, unbelievable in person. So anyway, but yeah, NGBs are going to NGB. And the last amateurs left in the Olympics are the people running them, as we've known for many years.
That was the end of your column as I read it yesterday. Christine Brennan, USA Today. I thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Always great, really fun. Thanks, and thanks to your listeners.
You got it. Christine Brennan here on the Adam Gold Show.